what I mean? Anyway, so good morning. All right, fresh start. We are in the middle right now of the reproductive system. So for those of you who forgot to take the test during the last unit, this is a fresh start for a new unit. Is there a chance you can pass? Of course there is. Of course there is. And there's probably a chance you can get higher than a D even, but it's on you. It's on you now to work hard. Okay? There's a number of people in this class as well who have not completed assignments. Today we are going to talk about the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system terms are a lot less than the male, so it's not going to take as long, and you're going to be able to do your assignment today during class. Again, remember, all of my assignments are during class. I don't give homework unless you don't finish something or you're absent or something like that. Okay? Before I forget, Thursday, next class, when I see you, I will not be in on Thursday. Let me repeat that. I will not be in on Thursday, which means there will be no live Zoom for my class. There will be an assignment. There's going to be two things that you should open. The first thing is going to be the explanation of the assignment. And then there's going to be an assignment. So anything that has a date on it, you should open. Don't just open an assignment if there's something else there too, because if there's something else there too, but there's no assignment attached to it, it's probably important information that sometimes people kind of ignore or they forget about because they don't think it's important because there's no assignment. But anything I put up there is important. Okay, so I will not be in on Thursday. There will be no live Zoom, but there will be an assignment. So make sure that you catch up on that. All right. So today, like I said, we're going to be working on the female reproductive system. Again, when I say the terms male or female, I'm referring to talking about terms when it comes to the genital areas of the human body. However, when we talk about terms like male and female, people can identify differently, even though they have different genitalia. And that's going to be something we will be starting to talk about called gender identity, where one might be born with a penis, but they might not identify as a male. And in our society, right, we are taught boy, girl, male, female, blue, pink. We're going to learn about different types of people. And so far, I actually checked the anonymous questions that a lot of you have written. And I actually haven't checked since Monday morning, so there could be more. But as of Monday morning, there's 22 questions. Not bad, but I have 6 health classes. So let's get on it. But the questions that are there are really good, really, really good. And I think you're going to learn a lot. So I'm sharing my screen 2 different places here. So I'm going to share my screen here with you guys. Okay. And let's get started. So these should be part of your notes. Also remember, if you ever miss class or you're being lazy one day, notes are found in the guides folder as well. But they will not be there as of, when test time's coming. So we talked about the male reproductive system over the last couple classes, right? And we learned about the male reproductive cell, male sex cell. Does anyone remember the name of the male sex cell? Little swimmers? Thanks, Richie. Sperm, okay? Yes, so the female also has a reproductive cell. Does anyone know the name of the female sex cell? Anyone want to take a guess?
The egg.
Okay, yeah. So the egg is what we would call it, but the correct term is ovum, but you are right. Ovum is the egg, all right? And plural would be ova. So ovum is one and ova is more than one, plural, all right? Ovum. So the egg is about the size of a pinhead. So imagine like a pin, and it's like the tip, the head of that. That's how tiny it is, all right? Usually the egg or the ovum is released from the female once a month. And if it doesn't become fertilized, it will dissolve and be absorbed by the body and a couple weeks later be released. So I use the term fertilized and I highlighted it there. What does that word mean? Does anyone know what does fertilization or fertilize mean when we're talking about reproduction? Anyone?
When the sperm meets the egg.
Hey, first person to get that right on the first try. Yes, okay? Fertilization is just when the sperm meets the egg, okay? When the sperm meets the egg and enters the egg, that is the beginning of pregnancy. Good. You're gonna need to know that, and we will learn, we'll kind of talk, we'll have a day just for that as well, soon enough, all right? Now, ova, or eggs, plural, right? They are stored somewhere in the female body, much like the sperm is stored in the male body. So sperm is to ova as testicles is to ovary. When I was in school and we ever had tests, I think it was on the SATs, I actually don't even remember. And it was like, this is to that as this is to that. I used to hate those, they suck. Anyway, so if you guys remember, sperm is stored in the testicles and ova or eggs are stored in the female ovary. And there are 2 ovaries and they store and contain eggs or ova. And actually, when a little female is born, they already contain about 300,000 to 500,000 eggs at birth, which means if you're holding a little baby female, they already have these eggs. And that's the only eggs they're ever going to have. It's not like the female body can produce more eggs. And if you remember, in the male body, males can produce sperm. Males can actually produce sperm up until if they have a healthy body, even at old age things can happen, but they can reproduce and have sperm for years and years and years till they die. Females, on the other hand, they have a certain amount of eggs at birth. And over time, when puberty hits and these eggs start to mature, one is released every month. And at a certain point in a female's life, they kind of run out. They don't have any left. And that's kind of the start of menopause. And at some point in a female's life, they can no longer have a child. They can no longer get pregnant because of that. So if you guys remember, we talked about the testicles and how the testicles produce the male hormone, the male sex hormone. Do you guys remember the name of the male sex hormone that the testicles produce? Yes, testosterone. So remember we said, very similar, female, male. The only difference is testosterone and the female sex hormone, which we're about to talk about. So the ovary produces the female sex hormones. Now, in this case, there's 2. Anyone know one? We talked about it last class.
Estrogen.
Yes, estrogen. So estrogen and progesterone are the 2 female sex hormones. Perfect. Remember, both females and males have estrogen and testosterone. That is the only difference between our physical look. It's just the levels of them. And in a few moments, I will show you a picture kind of showing you where these are, and that way you'll have a better understanding of it because it can get confusing. Fallopian tubes are tubes in the female reproductive system that the egg passes through. So once a month, the egg leaves the ovary and goes into the fallopian tube. And the fallopian tube is actually the place in the female where fertilization occurs. This is where the sperm meets the egg. So if you remember when I was talking to you guys about, that long journey, right, that sperm have to try and find the egg once it enters the female body, it's going to try and locate that egg and meet it in the fallopian tube and fertilize it there. So this is pretty important. Where does fertilization occur? Yes, question. Excuse me. It's not COVID. I am fully vaccinated. Yeah, Reggie. If I am fully vaccinated, why do I have to wear a mask still? Well, that's a good question, because that is the mandate. And technically, like any other virus, I can still transmit it, I would assume. But good question. Just trying to keep everybody safe. But soon enough, hopefully, we can all go back to normal. And I can hug my mother. Haven't hugged her in a year. Crazy. Moving on. All right, so now we have the uterus. The uterus is a muscular organ, and this is the area where a baby develops. This is where the baby develops. So again, one egg or ovum releases from the ovary, goes into the fallopian tube, travels through the fallopian tube, and hey, if a sperm meets it and fertilizes it, now that fertilized egg is going to kind of move through, and from the fallopian tube, it's going to go right into the uterus. And then it goes into the uterus and it attaches itself to the side. And I'm gonna show you a picture, so don't worry if you're getting confused. But it's gonna attach itself to the uterine lining, which is the side or the lining of the uterus. And we are gonna learn moving forward within the next few classes that there's different names for some reason of fertilized eggs at different weeks of development. So like you're going to learn from ages this week to week 3 of a fertilized egg, it's called one thing. And then from week 3 to 9, it's called something else. So when an egg gets fertilized, for the first few days, it's called a blastocyst. This word right here, that weird word, okay? About for like the first 3 days or so, maybe up to 5 days. It'll move down, it'll attach itself to the uterine lining. And another term, which is why I underlined it, another term for the uterine lining is the endometrium. And like I said, there's only 2 more terms left because it's a little shorter than the male. More terms there. Next, we have the cervix, which is the mouth or the opening of the lower part of the uterus into the uppermost part of the vagina. Give you guys another moment. So then we have the vagina. Okay, the vagina has a few different functions. Okay, it is the passageway from the uterus to the outside of the body. It's known as the birth canal. A lot of times it's kind of dubbed the birth canal because the baby passes through the vagina during, birth, during delivery. The vagina is also a passageway for menstrual flow, AKA a female's period. So yes, females pee from a separate area than where they get their period from. Believe it or not, I've had girls that did not know that. They did not know that. And that's okay. That's what I'm here for. And lastly, it is also the place where sexual intercourse occurs. The vagina can expand and contract during intercourse and also during childbirth. So I will show this to you again, but I'm going to stop sharing for a moment because I just want to show you this picture. I'll put it up on the screen here for these guys. All right, so this is the female reproductive system. Now, a lot of people think it's like this whole big thing, but it's actually about this big. It's pretty small, okay? And these white circles here, looks like a ball on each side. Those are the ovaries. Inside of the ovaries are the ova or the eggs, okay? And then once a month, one gets released. This is the fallopian tube on this side, and there's another fallopian tube here on this side, okay? And it kind of moves through the fallopian tube, and if a sperm kind of gets its way up there and meets it and it gets fertilized, it'll kind of move its way in here. And this whole thing here, it looks like an upside down pear, right? This whole thing is the uterus. And this is where that fertilized egg will move its way in. It'll attach itself on the side right here. This is the uterine lining. Okay, you got linings on both sides, also known as the endometrium. All right, moving down this way, this area right here is called the cervix. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever watched, Grey's Anatomy or any of those doctor shows or movies, or if you've ever had your mom or aunt or cousin pregnant, and you always hear, okay, she's 10 centimeters dilated. She's ready to push, right? 10 centimeters dilated. This cervix, which is teeny, tiny, teeny, needs to dilate 10 centimeters. That means it has to expand to 10 centimeters. What does 10 centimeters look like? That is 10 centimeters. That's 10 centimeters. Is a baby bigger than that usually? Yeah, babies are usually bigger than that. Doesn't matter. Got to push that bad boy out, or girl. Okay, and here's the vagina, and then the outside is there. Now, in the assignment that I have for you guys today, this is smaller, and then there's a picture here of a female, and it kind of shows you what that looks like. As if it were in the female, so you can kind of gauge a little better as to what that really looks like and what that really is. Okay, so I will go back to the notes just in case you guys need it. You guys here still need the notes to look at? Any of you guys? You do? Okay. So while I have the notes up here, I am going to go into Schoology. It is not yet open, but I'm going to open it for you guys. The assignment that you are going to complete today, you will see a diagram of the female reproductive system. You are going to use the notes that you took today in class to match the terms to the correct locations. Very similar to what you did last class with the male reproductive system. All right. And just like last class, and I'm not sure if all of you read the instructions, but you have 3 opportunities to get a perfect score. So those of you who might not have done well and you only took it once for the male reproductive system, you can do it up to 3 times to get the highest score. It's called 316 assignment, female diagram. And I am publishing it right now for you guys to complete. Does everyone in the Zoom world, you have all the notes? Is everyone good? Anyone need me to keep this on? Okay, are there any questions? Good, as you are working, I will be calling some of you. It might pop up right on your screen to meet me in a breakout room so I can have a little chat with you one-on-one real quick. Okay, not necessarily a bad thing. I just want to have a conversation with a few of you and maybe some people here as well. So that's what we are doing now. I do not want anyone to leave. Well, the only way that you can leave is if you are completed everything. Tests, assignments, and this assignment. Remember, in class today, you should be completing this assignment first before completing anything else that you are missing. Also, if you need to talk to me, I'm here.